I'm Dr. Sandra Stubbs, and today we are discussing OCD. This is faith and mental health. So as of 2025, approximately 2 and 3% of the U.S. adults are affected by obsessive compulsive disorder, with a global prevalence of about 3%. In the United States alone, there are approximately 7.6 million individuals who suffer from some type of obsessive compulsive disorder. So let's talk about it. Let's do a little bit of education regarding OCD. And so when I began this conversation or this discussion about OCD, I like to personify OCD. I like to pull it apart as if OCD was a personality type. So it's kind of easier for people to conceptualize the voice of OCD when you pull it outside of yourself as a person. And so I always have this image of the little angel in one corner and the little devil on the other corner, and they both have some narrative to tell you about yourself. One is like, you're so great, you're awesome, your values are good, you're living day by day by those values. I was like, you're not living by those values, you're a horrible person. Did you see the way that you looked at them? Did you see that thought that came through your mind? How could you possibly be a great person? You don't mean anything good for anybody else. And so this negativity oftentimes infects a person's identity and personality where it creates confusion. So I like to pull this out as a personality type. So if OCD was a person, OCD would be a bully in nature. Let's just call him Harry. I'm labeling him him. Let's just call him Harry for today. So Harry would be a bully, bullying you in your thoughts, bullying you in the images that you may see in your mind's eye, bullying you in the urges in your physical body. Harry is just a bully. It's always got something negative to say about something. Harry is aggressive in nature, and you've ever had pushy people in your life that really don't ask for permission to embark upon your space. They just plop down in the middle of your personal space and begin spewing out this negativity. Harry is aggressive in nature, just negative to the core. His content goes against your values. So you may be working really hard to be kind and loving to your partner and show all of the things a good partner would show. And Harry would say, you're not doing that's enough. You don't really love them. You don't really respect them. Did you see this? Did you see that? A, B, C, and D. And is constantly throwing content at you. Content is really just the stories that OCD tells you about a certain thing. It's full of nasty narratives and contents. Now, Harry is consumed with catastrophic what ifs. What if you were not careful enough to prevent it? What if you didn't do that thing right? What if they thought that you meant this horrible thing? What if, with the cousin of but what if, soon as you feel as if you have conquered or answered or figured out the what if, then Harry goes, but what if? And you're back in this vicious cycle of thought, content, and compulsion once again. Harry prefers that you are in some type of past pain. Remember the last time you did that, how horrible that was? Or in a future catastrophe. Oh my gosh, don't do that. Your whole life is going to be forever ruined. It robs you what would be the present moment, what's happening in the now. So you've got to fight to stay in the present, in the now, and not give Harry the time of day that he desires. Harry feeds on your big reactions, your emotional distress, your anxiety, your fear, your depression, your sadness, your irritation, your frustration, your numbness. Harry feeds on these things, and Harry is constantly attempting to make meaning. He says, well, you feel numb or gross or horrible. What does that mean? Oh, that means some bad thing is going to happen because you shouldn't feel that way. He feeds on those big emotions. Harry is constantly wanting you to be hyper vigilant about many things, such as like sharps or a contamination, or it says, don't touch that, don't do that, wipe your hands, clean your hands, wipe this down. You have to do this a certain amount of times. Here is the good number. This is the bad number. Content, content, content. Harry is full of content. You will never talk Harry. You can never beat Harry at the content game. And so you have to be sure to toss Harry a deuces, cool, great, fine, whatever. Can't fix that. Oh, well, sucks to be me. You have to be consistent with your responses to Harry so that your brain learns that this is just senseless fodder. This is my brain doing that thing, that quirky thing it does over and over and over again to get me to react in this massive way and leads me down this spiral of negativity. Harry is constantly gonna be questioning. Did you do that right? Did you wash your hands properly? Did you do it perfectly? It has some boundary, some stipulation, some routine, some rule that he desires that you stick with in order for you to gain more certainty. You see, Harry is all about uncertainty, and he can't tolerate it. The uncertainty is what fuels these obsessions. So even to driving your car or being at the grocery store and looking over your shoulder, and with that bump in the road must have been some person that you've offed, right? Harry is all about the negative. Let's go check. Let's go be sure. Let's go find certainty. And the reality is certainty never really comes the way you expect it to come. It says, yeah, that didn't feel right. We're going to do it again until it does. But it never really does feel right. And at some point you give up and you move on to something else. It has all of these negative narratives about like your religion and your faith and the people that you love, and constantly want you to believe that they are not in good standing with you, or somehow they're mad at you or against you, or you're never going to get back into their good graces. And it constantly has you devaluing self. It really challenges your identity. And once you realize that Harry is just is full of a bunch of lies that he tells you about yourself, until you realize that, you're going to be spinning your wheels trying to make things perfect, right, good, bad, right, or wrong. The reality is Harry is a sticky gear shift in the brain that's been stuck in negativity. Harry is filtering from a place of the brain where you're not going to get any positive affirmations or reassurance. Harry has been programmed to respond this negative way every time. And so now you've got to get in this vein of learning to accept the uncertainty. Harry is going to say, it interferes with treatment a lot. You don't have OCD. This is some big thing. Nobody knows what you have. Your topic, your theme, your thing is worse than someone else's, and you're never going to get better. You're always going to be sick, and you've got to go talk to this person and go talk to that person and go get reassurance here, and you're never going to find the certainty that you're looking for following Harry. The amount of analysis that Harry has you doing is never going to be suffice. He's never going to say you've done well. You've done this enough. So if we're looking at this cycle, OCD runs in the cycle, thought, image, urge. You've got your meaning making. What does this mean? Our brain is constantly trying to figure out, what does this mean? Harry is so gracious that he will tell you what this means. Most of the time, you can't trust his meanings. His meanings are bogus. So his meanings lead you to big distress, big discomfort, big catastrophe. And because that emotional distress, that physiological feeling that you have in the body is so uncomfortable, you want to get out of it. So now you go to do your compulsion. And your compulsion can be anything really. OCD doesn't mind what you're doing. It just wants you to be doing something. It's a big time suck, a big time waste. It either wants you in a mental compulsion where you're thought stopping, thought blocking, trying to have a good thought over bad thought, where you're trying to overanalyze, figure it out, solve a problem. And people can't really look at you and tell that you're doing these things, but you know your brain is tired at the end of the day from doing all of these mental gymnastics. So it has you in these mental compulsions. Or it may have you into physical, touching, tapping, repeating over and over and over again, some type of ritual in order to get out of some type. Now, don't let people tell you that your rituals don't work. They do work to some degree. The problem is you can't stop doing them. Now you have to continue that ritual and add on to that ritual in order to feel great. Your brain never learns. It never really reaches a place of balance or acceptance that I can tolerate this distress, because you're using a maladaptive way. You're using another tool to teach the brain that it's okay, and that other tool is just not helpful in the grand scheme of things. So we've got to come away from our rituals. We've got to come away from our safety behaviors. We've got to come away from what would be the things that we're doing in effort to convince ourselves that something is good, bad, right, or wrong. And we've got to train the brain to accept the uncertainty. Now, we accept uncertainty in many different ways. We accept uncertainty when we dive into the ocean and the water is freezing and it's cold right now, but I'm just going to keep swimming until this thing becomes fun. And all of a sudden, your body warms up. The pool doesn't warm up, but your body finds a way to warm up. We accept uncertainty when we are driving in our car, grabbing a cup of coffee, going into a store. We don't know that we're going to find the products that we're there to find, but we're willing to go search it out to see, what if maybe I will luck up and find the seasoning that I want to find at this store. We take on that and that anxiety, that pressure, that uncertainty, that doubt, and we challenge it enough to figure out, is this true or not? And if you're like me, I was looking for some pumpkin puree for my son's dog the other day. And so any store should have this. I'm going to go check this store and see that they didn't have it. Who doesn't have pumpkins? It's October. Everybody should have pumpkins. Oh my gosh. Now I have to go to another store. What if this store doesn't have it? I'm running out of time. The dog needs some food and they're waiting on me to come back. I go to this next store. It doesn't have it. Oh my gosh. I should just tell them that I can't find it and go back. But I say, but wait a minute. There's one more store on this block. What if by chance I get rid of all of my frustration that I'm having right now because I can't find this thing, and I try it one more time. And I go to the store and I look and I find nothing, absolutely nothing. But my daughter texts me and says, instead of doing this, how about you do this instead? Here's another way to get your goal. I can go and just make my own. I can go and just buy some baby food. That would suffice. My brain wouldn't let me have those answers in the beginning because I was in too much of a rush. I didn't want to wait. I didn't want to have to be frustrated in the line and drive to another store and do all of these extra things just to know that they didn't have it. And at some point I had to take a step back and breathe and say, okay, what if I can find another way to do this? What if I give it one more chance? What if? I have to challenge that what if. I have to see if my fears are true or false. So you take the challenge and you do it. Most often not, you find out that, that was just sending me in a wolf ticket, sending me around this gamut. I was spending more time anxious and frustrated and worried about something rather than just facing the challenge and letting the anxiety hit me so that my body can realize that, yeah, that was really scary to do that. But it wasn't dangerous to go one more step. It wasn't dangerous to face that fear. I have to be willing to face these rituals without creating more compulsions, without any guarantee that the anxiety is going to go away. I have to be willing to face these fears. And so when we're dealing with this whole OCD gamut of compulsions and this whole cycle, I gotta be willing to step closer to the fear and expose myself to the possibility that maybe this is gonna be perfect for me, maybe it's not, I never know. But I'm willing to step closer to the fear and take the challenge. My friend, your brain will learn more in taking the challenge than it would in fear any day. Keep in mind, your rituals are just short-term relief. Short-term relief for what would be a sustainable problem. OCD is not a one and done. OCD is really behavioral. You've got to challenge yourself to change your behavior. You got to give yourself enough time for your brain to come out of this fight, flight, freeze mode and this executive functioning to come back online. The executive functioning is shutting down when you're in anxieties and frustrations and irritations or anger or some big emotion. You don't have this self-monitoring, this planning and prioritizing. You don't have flexible thinking, emotional control. You don't have those things when you're in the fight, flight, or freeze. So you've got to give your body time to recalibrate, time to reprocess these signals coming in order for the brain to learn that, oh yeah, scary, but not dangerous. I think I can do this again. So when we look at OCD, we're looking at a brain processing malfunction. The sticky gear of the amygdala fight, flight, freeze, a fawn, has been activated. The brain is sending a red light, bling, bling, blinking in your head, on and on and on and on. It's saying urgent, urgent, urgent. You've got to take care of it. You've got to fix this. You've got to look at it. And you've got to be willing to say, yes, I hear you. I acknowledge that my brain is giving me a signal. I realize that signal is a false alert. I have to step away from pushing the buttons of rituals and routines. I have to step away. Let my body follow this course. Take the ride of anxiety. Take the ride of frustration. Withhold behavioral activation of your compulsions and choose to do something different. Your pause is already a different effect, a different action. A pause is a different behavioral response. I can pause. I can choose to respond with this scary, not dangerous. This is a challenge right now. I think I'm up for the challenge. Bring it on, OCD. I can lean into this thing in order for my brain to learn that I don't have to give in to those sneaky little compulsions. Now, this is just a brief overview of the scary world of OCD. You have your intrusive thoughts, images, urges, your triggers, your meaning making, your big emotion, your distress, pulls you into your compulsions, which are many. Physical, mental compulsions. That creates your cycle. In order to change the cycle, you have to be willing to interrupt the cycle every time it happens to teach your brain a different way of processing. So, little tidbit, hope this was helpful. My name is Dr. Sandra Stubbs, and I do all things faith and mental health And thank you for listening to this little snippet on OCD. Like, subscribe, share the channel with someone you think this may be helpful, and I will see you again. Goodbye.